Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Number, if you want to join the program, is 888-589-8840. We were talking in the first hour about a woman who is a vegan and breastfed her baby, and the baby died, basically of malnutrition. Didn't, according to the autopsy, did not have enough vitamin B12 and enough vitamin A, and this is something that those who are on vegan diets are warned about, needing to supplement their diet because their diet are going to be deficient in some of those nutritional elements. And the mother and the father apparently have been incarcerated in France. I'm not for that. I'm not in favor of that. I mean, what more severe penalty could you ever experience than to lose a baby, to lose an infant, to lose a child? That seems to me to be punishment enough of its own. But we have with us Kathleen from in Monrovia, Maryland. Kathleen, welcome to Focal Point. And understand you might have an issue with some of the comments I made about breastfeeding. Talk to me.
All right. First of all, I generally agree with your points, and I enjoy your Bible studies, and I like the fact that you have guests on that cover issues that many other segments of the station do not cover. I especially like Jan Markell and the Blood Moons. I agree with you on a lot of things, but I am an ex-Leche League leader. I don't know if you know what that means, but...
Say that again?
Leche.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with that. Yes, and big time, an organization that promotes breastfeeding. Yeah, and I'm 100% for breastfeeding. I want to be sure you understand that. I'm 100% for that.
I really think that some misinformation can be, or false conclusions can be drawn by mothers that are vegan that are breastfeeding. I think that, first of all, that mother needs to be on vitamins, because just like in her pregnancy, and who knows, this French mother, was she on vitamins during pregnancy? Was she on vitamins during the time she was nursing? And the baby frequently is usually prescribed vitamins. So,
but here, Kathleen, I guess this is the point, because it sounds to me like you're actually kind of affirming what we were expressing, that the problem, or an issue anyway, whether you want to call it a problem or not, because you can fix it with supplements, but one of the issues with a vegan diet is you are going to be deficient in certain vitamins that you're not going to be able to get through a vegan diet. And the mom needed to supplement, maybe she didn't. The baby needed the supplements and maybe wasn't getting them.
Yeah, but you know what? It's very suspicious to me, because iron is the one that usually a baby is deficient in. And that baby should have slowly been introduced to solids. And what kind of solids? And then what was the diet of the mother? That's another issue. That mother probably was eating foods that were low in vitamin A and B12. And the problem that I see with vegans is a lot of times they're eating white bread and white flour, and they can weigh 500 pounds, and they're not healthy but they're not eating any animal products. Yeah. So vegan doesn't mean you're healthy.
So it does not a guarantee that you're on a good diet.
Definitely not. I breastfed my kids until they weaned naturally, and they're now 40 years old, and they have no health problems whatsoever. I was not vegan, but I was very health conscious. I didn't eat organic, but we ate fresh raw vegetables every day, salads every meal, and they were normal in their blood counts or whatever as far as vitamin goes. And I was very careful to take vitamins, but I would just really encourage moms, if they're vegans, to follow their doctor's advice about what kinds of vitamins they should take. And it doesn't mean a death sentence to your baby because you want to eat vegan if you're breastfeeding your baby. And
well, I wonder, Kathleen, and I'll just posit this to you because you would have a lot more experience, dealing with women that pursue a vegan diet and breastfeeding on a vegan diet. You wonder if maybe this woman was kind of a purist, because a lot of people can be, when it comes to issues like diet, they're going to be purists, and she might have not wanted to put any supplemental the vitamin pills in her diet because it wasn't pure vegan diet or something like that. I mean, would that be possible? Maybe she
That would be possible. I thought about that consideration, but if she were taking her baby for regular checkups, this baby isn't going to suddenly die like that. That just doesn't make sense to me. I would more likely think that maybe she couldn't afford vitamins or whatever. It absolutely doesn't make sense. it doesn't make sense that suddenly the baby dies from a B12 and A deficiency. If they were regularly taken to the doctor could have done tests much earlier to determine vitamin deficiency. And the iron, that's the big deal that's suspicious to me, because all of the Leche literature tells you should start introducing solids definitely at 6 months, and by a year they should be taking in. And banana is one of the early ones they recommend, and even though banana is a vegetarian thing, it's supposed to have some iron in it.
Yeah. Well,
so
and this baby was 11 months old when the baby died, and according to the article, was exclusively breastfed by a vegan mother. So apparently there was no introduction of solids into the baby's diet.
And it might have been, a money issue, because a lot of people, would try to breastfeed for as long as they could if they couldn't afford formula and things. Well, you really shouldn't. You should be weaning to table food, mashed table food. That's the healthy way to do it. And she certainly could have, there has to be some vegetables that have vitamin A in them and B12. There just has to be. I know there is. There's plenty of them that have that. So.
All right, Kathleen. Well, listen, I appreciate your call very, very much. Thank you for that. That was informative. Thank you, Kathleen, calling. Let's go to Olita in Plano, Texas. Olita, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
I wanted to ask you to let everyone, all your listeners from Texas, know about the fact that Cornyn, one of our senators, Cornyn, has said that he would no longer be on board to help Ted Cruz and Mike Lee defund Obamacare.
Yeah.
And when I called his office this morning, his aide said, "Oh no, it's just that he is not happy with Mike Lee's letter that makes it look like we're trying to shut down the government." And I said, that's ridiculous, because every time Ted Cruz talks about this issue, and he talks about it a lot, which I'm very happy about, he specifies that our efforts are not to, his efforts nor anyone else's, are not to shut down the government. It is to defund Obamacare, our last chance to get rid of this horrible legislation. And he's making every effort to do that. And for Cornyn to make that excuse or not be totally on board with it is just inexcusable. And I told her that. And I said, I reminded her that we're not happy with him in general lately, because he's not been very conservative. He's not helping the conservative cause in many ways. And I said, you need to remind him who his boss is. It is the American people who pay his salary, who put him there, and we can take him out. We're waiting for an election that will allow us to do that and give Ted Cruz a good partner to fight this fight that we have to be aware of every day.
All right, Olita, listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you for that. And by the way, Ted Cruz and Mike Lee have started a website called don'tfundit.com, don'tfundit.com. And they have a petition up there, and I signed it. I want to encourage you to do the same thing to get as many signatures on this petition as we possibly can, urging the Senate and the House both, don't fund it, don'tfundit.com. Don't fund Obamacare. So you can go to this website. There's a petition there that you can sign and add your name to the list. I think this morning when I checked, there are 71,000 or something like that signatures on that petition right now. And Ted Cruz and Mike Lee have both said this, look, and you got to remember that it's don't without the apostrophe, D-O-N-T, don'tfundit.com, no apostrophe in the don't. And Mike Lee has said this repeatedly, and Ted Cruz has said this repeatedly. This is not about a government shutdown. This is about defunding Obamacare. And whether the government gets shut down or not is going to be up to the people that support Obamacare and up to President Obama. I mean, they would be the ones that would be shutting down government. President Obama has already been out there saying, look, I'm not going to make any concessions. So President Obama is the one that's taken the hard line here. He's the one that's refusing to compromise. He's the one that's saying I'm dug in. He's the one that's saying, listen, if I don't get my way, I am willing to shut down the entire federal government. It is President Obama who is saying that. It's not the Republicans. But what Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and 12 other Republican senators, including Marco Rubio, by the way, I mean, this thing, his flirtation with this, well, not flirtation, it was an all-out pursuit. He was the champion of the amnesty, the bill. And he's gotten singed by that to the point where he's gotten his mind right on a lot of other conservative issues. So he's one of the 12 senators out saying, look, we got to defund this thing. We just have to take away the money to implement it. And the way that can happen, and you've got other people out there like Byron York saying it can't happen, it's too late for that, all of this is locked in, it's all on autopilot. Well, listen, they have a continuing resolution that comes up in September, and the Department of Health and Human Services, they've blown through $1 billion of money that was set aside for implementation. It's gone. So if they're going to do any of this implementation, all of this build out of these exchanges, all of these call centers, all of these additional IRS agents, continuing resolution by refusing to approve a continuing resolution that includes implementation for Obamacare, it can't happen. If there's nobody to implement it, it can't happen. It can't go into effect because somebody's got to be paid to do all of the implementation tasks and the implementation activities, all the things that have to be done to implement this thing. Somebody's got to do that stuff. Somebody's got to get paid to do it. Now, it may not be a lot of money in the overall scheme of things, but, I mean, paying a mechanic, for instance, may cost you a lot less than buying a car. But you may be in a situation where if you don't have a mechanic, it doesn't matter how much you've invested in your car. It doesn't matter how much money you pay. It doesn't matter how much your car costs. It's going to sit there like a rotting brick if you don't have a mechanic to fix it. It might cost, you might be paying him $25, $30 an hour to fix your car. But if you don't have the $25 or $30 to pay him to fix the car, your car is going to sit there by the side of the road. It's going to be disabled. Well, I look at this continuing resolution, same deal. If the Congress refuses to fund the implementation of Obamacare, that will be enough to park the thing by the side of the road. It doesn't repeal it. It doesn't undo it. It doesn't get rid of it. It just stops it dead in its tracks, and it gives us time to do additional things to try to repeal this monstrosity. Don'tfundit.com. Don't fund it without the apostrophe. Don'tfundit.com. Back in 2. Stay with us.